नमस्ते यतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित् सुख स्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। My salutations at the holy lotus feet of the spiritual trio, Thakur, Ma and Swamiji Maharaj. And then I offer my pranams to most revered President Maharaj, revered Vice President Maharajis, revered Swami Prabhananda ji, revered Swami Bhajanananda ji, and revered Swami Girishananda ji, who are present on the dais today, this afternoon. My very loving regards to our appointed speaker of the day, Sri Ram Sevak Bandhopadhyay, who is a member of the Ramakrishna mission. Respected elders, dear brothers, friends, and well-wishers, before I go for formal address of welcome, I would like to read out a tweeted message received from Mamata Banerjee, Honorable Chief Minister of West Bengal. She says, I convey my best wishes to the monks and devotees and all the students community attached to the order of Ramakrishna mission on their 125th year celebrations. May the message of Thakur, Ma and Swamiji continue to inspire us all. Unquote. Today, you know, is the first May, but before that, I must say words of most welcome to all of you. On this day, 125 years ago, Swami Vivekananda founded Ramakrishna Mission Association in Calcutta at the residence of Sri Ramakrishna's great devotee, Balaram Bose. Balaram Bhavan is now known as Balaram Mandir. On this day at 3 p.m., the monumental arch of Renaissance Vedanta, or should we say, the practical Vedanta, was inaugurated. This is the 125th foundation day of the Ramakrishna mission. On this auspicious occasion, I have the privilege of welcoming all of you to this historic meeting. Most welcome to all of you. Initially, Swamiji was in a great dilemma. Dilemma was to be or not to be, to organize or not to organize. After reaching the United States, Vivekananda observed the enormous power of organization that lay behind American life. Once he told his host, Emily Leon of Chicago, you know, I have had one of the greatest temptations of my life here, and it is organization. Let's go back to Dakshineshwar. Let us catch a few glimpses of Sri Ramakrishna's concept of compassion, his vision about his mission. One day in 1884, at Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna was seated in his room talking to his disciples about a famous statement of the Vaishnava religion taught by Sri Chaitanya Dev himself. জীবে দয়া, নামে রুচি, বৈষ্ণব সেবা, ইহা বিনা ধর্ম নাই, শোনো সনাতন। Listen, O Sanatan, these are the foremost of all spiritual disciplines. Compassion for all living beings, love for God's name, and service to devotees. Repeating the word compassion, Sri Ramakrishna went into Samadhi. After a while he returned to normal consciousness and said to the devotees, how foolish it is to speak of compassion. Man is an insignificant worm crawling on the earth, and he is to show compassion to others. How is it? This is absurd. It must not be compassion, but service to all. Recognize them as God's manifestations and serve them. Serve human beings as God. This was the very seed of the whole Ramakrishna mission, planted in 1884 by Ramakrishna himself at Dakshineshwar. But at the time, only Narendra, later Swami Vivekananda, understood the implications of what the Master had said. That day, standing on the veranda outside the Ramakrishna's room, he said to his brother disciples, especially Girish Chandra Ghosh, he told, "See, what a wonderful light I have discovered in those words of the Master. How beautifully he has reconciled the ideal of bhakti with the knowledge of Vedanta, generally interpreted as dry, austere, and incompatible with human sentiments. What a grand, natural, and sweet synthesis it is. Those following the paths of karma, action, and yoga, contemplation, are similarly benefited by these words of the Master. If God gives me the opportunity, I shall preach it unto mankind." So said Sri Narendranath, later on to be Swami Vivekananda. Towards the end of April 1897, Vivekananda returned to Calcutta from Darjeeling to give concrete shape to Sri Ramakrishna's teaching on practical Vedanta. The Ramakrishna mission was officially born on Saturday, 1st of May 1897. Swamiji called for devotees to gather at 3 p.m. at Balaram Bose's house in Calcutta. 40 people, both devotees and monastics, came, and he said to them, I quote, "From my travels in various countries, I have come to the conclusion that without organization nothing great and permanent can be done. This organization will bear the name of him in whose name we have become sannyasis. Him taking whom as our ideal, you are leading the householder's life in the field of activity. This samsara, this world, whose holy name and the influence of whose unique life and teachings have within 12 years of his demise spread in such an unthought of way both in the east and the west. Let this Sangha therefore be named the Ramakrishna Mission. We are but the servants of the Master. May you all help in this work." Swamiji's proposal was accepted with enthusiasm by all monks and householder devotees present. Again on 5th May, Vivekananda met with some devotees and brother monastics. At this time he declared this association, meaning thereby Sangha, shall be known as the Ramakrishna mission. The aim of the Sangha is to preach those truths which Sri Ramakrishna has, for the good of humanity, preached and demonstrated by practical application in his own life, and to help others to put these truths into practice in their lives for their temporal, mental and spiritual advancement. Vivekananda then talked about the method of work, training men, introducing arts and industries, and humanitarian work. Vivekananda became General President of the mission, and he made Swami Brahmananda and Swami Yogananda Vice President of the Calcutta Center. President and Vice President respectively of the Calcutta Center. Swami Brahmananda ji became President and Swami Yogananda ji Vice President. Narendranath Mittal was appointed Secretary. Dr. Shashi Bhushan Ghosh and Sharat Chandra Sarkar Under Secretaries, and Sharat Chandra Chakraborty Reader of Scriptures. This is how on May 1st, 1897, his dream, his master's vision and mission saw the light of the day. A new organization was born. It was the Ramakrishna mission with its motto, Atmana Mokshartham Jagat Hitayocha, for one's own liberation as well as for the good of the world. With this prophetic vision, he saw the mission based on the deep spiritual foundation of purity, sacrifice, service, universality, and non-sectarian approach. Would lead this organization through the vicissitudes of history and emerge as a model for others to imitate. 100 years later, the Ramakrishna mission gets the world's attention. The UNESCO director, Dr. Federico Mayer, in his inaugural speech delivered in Paris on the centenary celebration of Vivekananda in the Chicago Parliament, he spoke in 1993 and he said, I quote, I was struck by the similarity of the articles of the Constitution of the Ramakrishna mission which Vivekananda established in 1897 with those of UNESCO. We salute our beloved Swamiji Maharaj on this particular occasion and day. Like a young Napoleon of Vedanta, Vivekananda stood on both sides of the Atlantic. Like a young Sankara, he radiated the power and bliss of self-knowledge. With Mira's devotion and Beethoven's exuberance, he sang paeans of praise to all saints and sages, to all gods and prophets. Like a young prince, he charmed and elevated whoever came to him. Like a young Buddha, he could and did enter into the highest transcendence of Nirvana, the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, either at Camp Parsi or London, in the very presence of his listeners. Like a young Christ, he lay stretched on the pyre that he lit for himself after a life of superhuman struggle for the good of humanity. Bahu jana sukhaya, bahu jana hitaya. Like a young Shiva, he entered his habitual realm of transcendence after drinking the poison of human suffering. This is the finale of Vivekananda's life. He remains and will remain an eternal symbol of purity, service and renunciation in the fullness of divinity and perfection. His gospel of a new religion, his gospel of a new man, his gospel of a new scripture is being preached through his dream mission, which is named as Ramakrishna mission. To Alasinga Perumal, his trusted Indian disciple, he wrote on 17 February 1896, I quote, the dry Advaita must become living, poetic in everyday life. Out of the hopelessly intricate mythology must come concrete and moral forms. And out of the bewildering yogism must come the more scientific and practical psychology. And all this must be put in a form so that a child must grasp it. That's my life's mission, that's my life's work. What inspired Vivekananda to bring this historic interpretation of Vedanta and call it a practical Vedanta is the question. Answer is Sri Ramakrishna. It was Sri Ramakrishna. Startling his audience in Madras, Vivekananda replied, I quote, because I was born for this and it was left for me to do. The dream of practical Vedanta was tormenting Vivekananda's mind since his days of wandering in India. But how to realize it? It is in America that he first found the answer to this question, and the answer was organization. To a Western mother, he confided that he had the greatest temptation of life in America, and that was organization. Yet, wrote, even before the Ramakrishna mission, the organization of Vivekananda's dream came into existence. He was absolutely sure of his no. To Mrs. Belur, he wrote this in 1896. A year after, the thought of making an organization was more powerful in his consciousness. To his brother disciple Ramakrishna, he wrote on 24th of June 96, the same year, I quote, we want organization. Organization is power and the secret of this is obedience. However, Vivekananda understood that an individual may be powerful, but it is not possible for one person to do everything on a large scale. A following is necessary in order to carry great ideas to posterity. He had the mission of his master to fulfill. He couldn't do it alone. On the other hand, Vivekananda also understood the possible dangers of organization, politics, power struggles, corruption and commercialism. At Thousand Island Park, during the summer of 1895, he debated to organize or not to organize. If I organize, the spirit will diminish. If I do not organize, the message will not spread. In the end, he was determined that his master's great message should not be lost to humankind. Vivekananda knew that the only thing that he would keep corruption out of organized work was purity of life. Vivekananda knew that the only thing that would keep corruption out was purity of life. Vivekananda realized how stupendous a task it must be to infuse a spirit of organization based on the principles of Vedanta to a nation where the vast majority lived like next door neighbors to brutes, where the educated ones only rejoice in blind imitation of his rules, and where the speaker of God were essentially inward-looking and spiritually individualist, and where the disease of jealousy due to 1,000 years of political slavery had become widespread. However, during his journey of 125 years, Ramakrishna mission marched onward and forward. It never looked back. Today, Ramakrishna mission services are extended to 23 countries outside India. Activities are conducted through its 161 branch centers and sub-centers in India and outside, as far as Ramakrishna mission is concerned. Apart from this mission stream organization, that is Ramakrishna Mutt, also conducts service activities through several of its centers spread across 24 countries. Its total number being 149. Thus, total number of centers stand at 310, including of course the sub-centers. To conclude, we must convey our grateful thanks to the Government of India, especially to Honorable and beloved Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji, for the unstinted support that we have spontaneously received to make this celebration of 125 years of the Ramakrishna mission a grand success. Also, just now I have read it out that we are enriched with the moral support from West Bengal Chief Minister Honorable Mamata Banerjee. Once again, with a note of welcome, I wrap up my deliberation. Thank you so very much, and I again offer my most respectful pranams at the holy feet of our most revered President Maharaj of this order. Thank you.